Hey everybody, tell me, did UFC 34 provide one of the most dynamic and impressive and technically profound finishing sequences of the year? I think so. Let's take a look. Hello everyone and welcome back to the MMA Draw. My name is Chris Rainey. The main artistic feature of today's show will be Islam Makhachev's absolutely stunning execution and finishing sequence against Dustin Poirier in the main event of UFC 302. Let's get down to it. I watched that sequence many times from every camera angle possible. I loved it. That leg whip it's gonna live in my head for a very long time, and quite frankly, I think we're gonna see it appear more in MMA. I think it's going to be one of those viral techniques, like Anderson Silva's front kick. You know, that is something that you see now. Who, like, all sorts of high-level fighters have finishes off of it now. I could think of Chito Vera finished Frankie Edgar with it. The light heavyweight contender who can't seem to catch a break whenever a title's on the line. Big noise out there. I hope it was nothing bad. Jesus Christ, I can't remember. Anyway, he scored it off of. The guy botched 2 fights against Ion Cutelaba and Johnny Walker. I don't know, and he fell to Paul Craig. And now I'm like, you're probably pulling your hair out trying to scream his name to me, and it evades me. I'll look it up. Anyway, that front kick is now it's part of everyone's arsenal, or everyone with hip dexterity. And I kind of feel like that Islam Makhachev leg whip off that single leg where you got the calf kind of tucked between your thighs. That is something we're going to see more of. I thought it was a super dynamic and exciting thing. Let's get down to it. Pulling for Dustin Poirier with my heart. Excited to watch Islam slowly make his way up to becoming one of the best lightweight champions that we've seen in the modern era of mixed martial arts. It was a big win. It was a big win as a fan. I would say the rest of the card was unremarkable. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and made it out just in time for the replays of Kevin Holland's armbar against Michael Oleksiejczuk. And I kind of got the feeling that, Kevin Holland is one of those guys who I enjoy his personality a lot. I enjoy his wacky fighting style a bunch. I also feel like he's one of these people where you can look at his Wikipedia page and actually get a clear understanding of who he is as a fighter and at what level he exists. Look at those greens, look at those pinks, and it tells a very clear story of what level Kevin Holland is. My favorite person to hear talk about Kevin Holland is on Twitter, Evil Greg Jackson, also known as Phil McKenzie, one half of the Heavy Hands podcast. His hate to love it, love to hate it for Kevin Holland style really is what turned me on to him as a fighter, to really pay attention. That's one of those things where when you're really paying attention to people on their way up, that's what's most rewarding about being a fight fan. With that said, I have watched nothing from that card previous to the co-main event. I'm curious about what Roman Kopylov, Jailton Almeida, Grant Dawson. I'll even check out a Jake Matthews fight every once in a while. I heard that Mickey Gall versus Basil Hafetz was very good and possibly could have won fight of the night. But I did not hear enough. I would rather listen to post-fight breakdowns and circle back to something that people really feel is true prospect material. For that, I'm going to go to the vivisection. Zane Simon, I think, is the best prospect scout out there. I subscribe to his Substack. I'm going to pay closer attention to that than I am going to sit through, subpar product. Let's call it like it is. Half of what the UFC puts out is regional MMA. That's it. I don't care what anybody else says. That's reality. The UFC puts on high-level fights, and it puts on regional MMA, and it jams them in the same event. Sorry. For you and me, not them. So where are we? Islam Makhachev. I loved that whole fight. It was emotional. It was grinding. It was really cool to see Makhachev have to dig deep and win that fight everywhere, on the feet and in the grappling exchanges. It was great to see Poirier neutralize Islam in his A game, and then to see Islam shine with his B game. Those are thrilling moments. I think one of the greatest fighters to ever do that in title contention, or either way, it was both times. It was Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero. If you don't recall, Robert Whittaker was badly injured in each fight. I believe he blew out his knee when Romero did one of those oblique kicks, and then I think Whittaker broke his right hand in the second fight, and basically had to win and defend his title with three high functioning limbs. So to watch Islam have to go through that from a stylistic point of view was fantastic. I truly believe that it's difficult for Islam to get truly recognized for how great his run has been. And I'm totally taking this off of something somebody said on Twitter. His last 3 opponents have been beloved people. Charles Oliveira, 2 against Alexander Volkanovski, now Dustin Poirier. It's very difficult to gain fans when you are breaking hearts. You gain a lot of respect, though. I do strongly feel that no one talks shit about Islam Makhachev. They know he is legit, about as legit as they come. I think we all secretly want him to. What lightweight has never had is a long-standing champion. We thought we were going to get it with Khabib. Who's had a long reign? I bet Benson Henderson with those brutally razor-close split decisions. BJ Penn was still a little too erratic to feel like he was dominant and lengthy. Frankie Edgar's career really hangs on the Gray Maynard trilogy. Pettis, he was supposed to be the one. He wasn't. It's all... Eddie Alvarez, RDA, none of these people gave us the thing we wanted. McGregor didn't, and we all thought, Khabib looked like the one. So, maybe Islam still has the ability. I know he says he wants to go up to welterweight, and that ain't it. That ain't it. I understand that's how you basically, it's one of the only negotiating techniques that fighters have, and possibly the weight cut is something he does not want to continue doing. He's 32. Your body changes, your metabolism changes, your ability to push it that far, it all changes. And I'm sure he'll be competitive as an elite athlete up there, but who knows? Dustin Poirier, the man has done it. He's done all he can. No one has spoken about his career as eloquently as he has. The idea that he doesn't, why is he fighting? Why put you're going to pay the piper already for the 50 fights he's already had. And plus, I think he said he has 10 more that are not even recorded. The man has won people over 10 times over for his, grace. That is such a rarity in MMA. His self-reflectiveness, his physical acts in the cage, and his civic acts outside. This is all there. It's all very public, all publicly documented. He's a gracious human being. That's admirable. We should all aspire to be thought of that way, or viewed that way, or at least put some of that down on the ledger of our lives. Lord knows I have not done enough, but Still got a couple breaths in me. I can't say that I want to see Dustin Poirier fight again. I think that he's been through nothing but wars long term, and I feel like they've all been particularly brutal ever since the Dan Hooker fight. I'm gonna look at it right now. The Dan Hooker fight was that is the definition of like a war. Then you had the two against Conor McGregor. I know that those were grueling camps. I know that he had to overcome a lot of mental, psychological challenges. And, Greg McGregor's a challenge in the cage. He's no slouch. We don't think of him as like an elite, quite the way he once was, but that doesn't mean, he'll catch you slipping. And then, Dustin's he's gone 2-3 since the McGregor fights. None of those fights are good for your body, for your health. Charles Oliveira, grueling. Michael Chandler, absolute dogfight. Justin Gaethje, we don't speak of that. Benoit Saint Denis, you got to survive a blitz. And now Islam. That was not a good run for his health. For his wallet, for his bank account, yeah. That's MMA, right? So that's the story. That's it. I'm trying to realize a little personal dream artistically. I'm a huge fan of the Warner Brothers cartoons, the World War II era Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, things like that. The director, Chuck Jones, is, big influence, big inspiration. I think he's a fun, smart, artistic, dynamic director and artist. And he pioneered the use of this thing called smear frames. It's where instead of drawing every single frame of action in a dynamic movement, he would draw one frame that encompassed a span of movement across a plane, and leave that on screen for the length of time you would put, 2, 3, 10, 15 frames. It was seen at first as lazy or derided as such, but it has come to be respected as truly artistic and dynamic, and I've always wanted to integrate that into some of the sequences that I've drawn. I've done it a couple times, never as successfully as I would like to. So the 12 items you see here are me doing prep work to make that happen. I'm going to take a pause to receive a phone call, and I'll be right back. That was a scam phone call. That was a little surprising. I think it's the first one I've gotten since moving to Denmark. I have to pick up every phone call that has a Danish country code. You never know who, it could be the kid's school or some other parent or something like that. That's a reality. You got kids, you got to pick up that phone. I get a lot of scam texts because that's how the Danes roll. That's their style. But, the first phone call, first time for everything. So in case you're curious, what it's like being in Denmark and what life is like over here for me, I know that I like it when YouTubers or podcasters who I enjoy their content talk about their lives. So I kind of enjoy sharing mine. If I do more, I'll do it at the second half of these vlogs. So, you don't have to hear about it if you're not into that. I went to this thing called the Dusku, which I am butchering. It is the Roskilde animal scene, and it's a scene. The closest I could approximate it to is a county fair. And it's very funny because Denmark is very much a farming country. It is a farm country. I could ride my bike about 15 minutes and, there's a horse farm. There's stuff like in the next one train stop over from where I live. You'll see a big ass sheep farm. That's intense, for a New York City kid. So I'm living another life. But it's cool. My kids absolutely love animals. They went on Friday with their school. On Friday, the Dusku is open just to kids. for school, which is super neat. So they had gotten the lay of the land. And on Saturday morning, my wife had a hair appointment. So I was like, all right, while I would personally love to have a luxurious breakfast and read the New Yorker and then go garden, that's my ideal morning. Instead, I was like, let's go to Dusku. So I loaded them up in the cargo bike. I rode over there. It's, not even 10 minutes away from us. And I was like, all right, you know what? No plan. Yeah, I don't know anything. I'm not even going to look at a map. You pick, I do. And they were thrilled. It's so cool when you're a parent and you have the opportunity to just say yes and just be like, no rules, you pick. I'm not even going to make you eat lunch. I just made sure I fed them as much as I could before we left. And they were like, okay. Absolute top tier thing, baby chicks, because they have them all in a pen and you can just reach in, grab one and cuddle it and play with it and then put it back. Okay. Had to see the cows, horses, maybe goats, not interested in pigs. Oh, and bunnies. We hit them all. We hit them all and we made sure they got to pet every single one of them as close as possible to that. And then back to the chicks to wrap it up. We passed a farm stand. I was like, hey, cherries are in season. Not a lot of great food here in Denmark, but the strawberries are amazing when they're in season, and cherries are really good here. So we got some of those two things, sat under a tree and just chowed down on that. That was chill. It never gets hot here, ever. But for some reason, but the sun is different. The sun is just, I have these 18 hours of light days. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. It is like noon bright. Put my kids down 9 o'clock. It is extremely bright out. You need blackout curtains. It's a different world. In the summer here, it is bright perpetually. I think I'll see if I could post a little picture of what it's like at 11:30. It's still, that's 11:30. There's still some light out there. That's wild. After that, Saturday evening, I went to Hellerup, which is a very wealthy neighborhood in the very northern part of Copenhagen, for a friend's art opening, summer party. And holy crap, I knew it was a wealthy neighborhood. I was not ready for the idea that I would be going to a very wealthy home, which doubled as a studio gallery, and that the party attendees would not be a bunch of dirtbag artists. They would be, it was a very international crowd. Thankfully, I was able to work the room. I was dressed almost properly, and I was wise enough to eat a burger. I showed up early. I hung out at the train station, and I ate a burger before I went into the party because I have a big appetite, and I have to behave well in public and not shovel down lots of party food when I'm at places. So that was great. I only ate one plate of food at the party, and it was very modest. I was very proud of myself for being well behaved. The best part of the night, I was speaking to a businessman from the Netherlands, and he was raving about one particular painting, and it happened to be done by an artist friend of mine, the one who invited me to the party, and I was able to make an introduction, and that felt really good. So that was cool. I came home from Hellerup. You know what? I do have a picture of arriving at the train station about 9:30 in the evening, and I snapped. I always take pictures of the sky here. I'm sky deprived from New York City. And it was really nice to see that. I love it. I love sunsets and sunrises and the clouds and the ever-changing weather patterns and the bizarreness of how bright it can be at 11 at night. But I think the one I have here is from 9:30 when I was catching the train back to Roskilde. Let's see. I've been trying to stay healthy, and one of the things that I've always wanted to do is these mini triathlons that in our neighborhood, what's available to us. and we have like the 1 hour triathlon. That's the joke. It's about a roughly, 15-minute ride on the bike to the lake, a 15-minute jog around the lake, a 15-minute swim to this little island that's halfway across the lake, and then another 15 minutes home. And, I've been trying to do that. I've been doing it semi-consistently. And the best way to do it is to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, get out the door, be back by like 7, just in time for the kids to wake up and get ready for school. And it's really amazing to check that off the list. I've found that, life is never slowing down. It's never getting easier. And you have to build that physical activity into your routine in a way that it cannot be interrupted. And there's just not a lot going on at 6 in the morning, outside of what you need to do. So that's where I've been. Let's see, anything else going on? No, I'm just working on this finishing sequence. I'm doing a bunch of portraits for Roskill Festival, and I think that's what I'll be working on after I finish this video. So maybe I'll share that with you if you're interested. As always, like and subscribe. And I'll tell you something else. I'm having a real hard think about my place in the MMA media. MMA has been the focus of my artwork for 12 years. I have a massive body of work. I don't know how much this industry needs or wants me anymore. And that's okay. That's not a judgment. It's not even a complaint. It's an honest assessment of the landscape. With the death of Bloody Elbow, and especially the settling of the fighter lawsuit, I feel like the industry is becoming more and more entrenched. It is what it is. You can't really tell the difference between influencers and journalists. And where do I fit? There no longer is this like left-wing, somewhat progressive and investigative critique and editorial site like Bloody Elbow. Without one of those, I don't know who needs what I do, and I don't know how much I want to change myself to fit into this industry the way it is. There's an artist named Gian Galang, does great graphics. You've seen the UFC has used him for t-shirts and posters. That's what they want. And they already have someone who can do it really well. So it might be time. Is it time for me to move on? I'm kind of grappling with that right now on an existential level. Like, go get a job? I'm working on a new art collection, different theme. I'm going to take it to Copenhagen and work the gallery scene there. But I love being part of MMA. I love the people. I love, these wonderful people I've known for like a decade. So it's strange. Some of these people have been to my home. I've gone out to dinner with them. I've met them, especially when I used to live in New York City. Like every time people came through town, I'd always say, "Hey, you want to meet up for a cup of coffee?" And so many of them did. My own Twitter profile photo was shot by Ryan Loco because he was in town for a PFL show. We'll see where I go. For now, I'm going to keep this channel active. And, MMA is like, I love it. It's my sport, How much time I dedicate to it, we'll find out. Tell me what you think if I run. I'm thinking about revamping my Patreon, making it $5 a month. And then I will digitally catalog everything, and just pay me $5 a month, and you will get a digital archive of all my stuff, and I will continue making it. That's where we are right now. All right. Thanks for your time, folks. I appreciate it. I'll be back on Thursday. Be well.